Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RSCast here for the Week 7 recap. I'm, the same host as always, joined by Pinchmen as always, but we have normally my replacement, now replacing Sir Pegasus. We have Danny here as well. And before we get into anything, we're going to go pretty fast today, because we have some league games after this stream. But first, obviously, Kingsman, Danny, how are you guys doing?
I'll let the guest speak first. He's back for the second time this season.
No, I'm going to let that most handsome man talk, and that would be yourself first.
Well, we can't keep passing the baton back and forth all day long, as easy as that would be. But yeah, we missed a week, but we're back. So if you went 0-8 last week, you're thanking your lucky stars that we weren't here to roast you. But if you went 0-8 this week, we are here to roast you. And do not worry, roster lock is over now, so we can roast you as much as we want.
I don't care. Over you, Tavish.
So, into the weekly recap. We didn't do it last week because, we weren't here. Some people were drinking wine and friends, others just couldn't make it, or were sick, or getting into uni, however. But here are the prospect recap for week 7, and Kingsman giving it to you for Glacies.
Two teams go double win to enhance their playoff chance. Team Serene pick up a double win week, a 3-1 onto Crusaders and a 3-1 onto Terra. Crusaders win expected, Terra win not so much. Big results for them as they look to push towards that top 6, whereas the other teams go 7-1. It's Alta, a team that was chasing Terra down for the lead in the Glacies Conference. But double win means they've gone double win for 2 weeks in a row, and they can really intensify that fight going forward. Only one team, though, this week goes double loss in Primordial, a side that were third at the end of last week and really looking like the third place secured and potentially to push on towards Ultra and Terra. But as the league standings will show you, they've done quite the opposite.
So the league standings will be very interesting here. Now going to you, Danny, for the Ignis Conference.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just going to certainly say their hot medals. The only one with the 4-0, the likes of Tomfoolery, Hysteria, and of course the likes of Attack. Naturally going with their 3-1. I suppose the natural side that's looking to lick their wounds here would be the mighty Solaris, who went basically as close as you can get to 0-8 as you can with actually picking a game up. So, hurrah for them at least here. Just keeping outside, of course, the play-in spot. But they are within 2, so there is striking distance. That essentially is your main highlights there.
Very quick, very nice. 3 sweeps there. Couple in Glaze as well. Now let's head to the standings to see how everything has changed in Prospect. And Kingsman, going to you first.
Well, at this stage of the competition with 16 games left, I like to say which teams I think are not going to make top 6. So you're going to forward to hear that cast. So, Terra, 7 wins at the top in playoffs. A throw would be required for them to get out of the top 3 at this point. However, Alta are looking for that first place seed. 36 and 34 games apiece. Obscurity, the only prospect team that was left in the cup draw last night, they are third on 31 wins. Volpez, they don't find a loss. They keep plowing forward on 29 wins. And Primordial's double loss week sees them slip down to 5th in the table. Team Serene pick up double win. It sees them go unbeaten in the last 5. Puts them to 28 wins. Spark and Stratus, 26 wins. Very close. 2 game wins off. And now I think a miracle is required for the 2 teams below to have top 6 chance. However, Komodos did pick up their 3rd series win this week. Puts them on 21. But Crusaders below them on 20. I think both teams needing a miracle if they're going to make that top 6.
Mel probably disappointed in the Crusaders there, but there's quite a difference between the bottom and the top. Let's see if the Ignis has the same. Going to you, Danny.
Well, thank you very much. There very little to naturally report here. There is movement on the upper side, but expect it with the likes of Hot Metal moving 3rd after the week they have. But Protocol Newburn, the top 2 in that order with 37-34 respectively. And of course, we did mention the likely ones, TSQ, Legend Media, and of course the Panthea roster first prospect holding in terms of the top 6 here. The ones that need to get a move on. Azteca, Mighty Hades, they're 25 too short as mentioned. And Tomfoolery with an outside chance in 20R might as well give up. That's prospect done for you.
Yeah, now let's move to the fixtures for next week. The standings already showed some teams are very close to each other. Let's see if we also have the matchups for it. Kingsman, anything interesting in the Glaciers conference?
I mentioned Crusaders have a miracle, and they have a very nice week to start a comeback. They play Stratus in 8th place, and they play Spark in 7th. Both teams on 26, 2 wins off the top 6. So both will be looking to farm what they think will be easy wins on Crusaders, but an upset will be required from the Crusaders side if they're wanting to push for that top 6, which Mal's probably sat in the back thinking this is so unrealistic, because it probably is. However, looking around the rest of the table, big games, Obscurity, Team Serene. I mentioned Obscurity, the only prospect team left in the cup, but it has come at a cost of their league form. They've slipped down the table, and Team Serene have been on a prowl at the minute. Can they keep that going? Time will only tell. And they have the best run of form to be playing against Primordial, who are on the worst run of form recently. However, looking towards the top of the table, I talked about Terra versus Alta. They play each other. Terra win that, I'm pretty sure they secure themselves first place. However, Alta pull out a result there, a win or a draw, and it keeps them in the hunt for the top spot.
A lot of interesting matchups in the Glaciers conference. Now, Danny, do we have the same in the Ignis conference?
Well, it's a little bit less more exciting here. The matches is more in terms of the inner battles, really, here. The likes of DSQ Evidence versus Protocol. That's the key in the case of whether they extend the top of the table or just push people further away here. The likes of course, Hysteria and Hot Metal. That's a similar storyline. But if you look at the likes of Azteca, their 2 matchups against Protocol Newborn, 2 top 6 sides against a side that's trying to break on through. That's where the eyes are going to be mostly looking for, while the likes of Mighty Hades eventually gets the door closed upon them.
And that is the lowest tier done and dusted. We're now going 1 tier up into Challenger. And let's see if the results from last week are entertaining. Kingsman, starting with you.
2 weeks ago, I mentioned this conference was the closest you'll ever see a conference in week 6, and it was close, but now there are teams that are going on the charge. 3 go double win in Ryujins, Ember, and Sentinels. Sentinels picking up their 4th successive win here with a 3-1 over Volpez and a 3-1 over Tornado. A big week for them. Ember finding themselves some good form with a 4-0 sweep over Neptunium and a 3-1 win over Shrine, who were struggling themselves. And Ryujins, who were leading at the time, beat Sir Pegasus' team 3-1. And then they also picked up a 3-1 win against Disorder, who've been struggling to find wins all season long with their challenger team. But however, looking around the rest of the table, there were only 2 draws this week, which is quite unusual for a conference being so close. Team Serene playing Tornado. They picked up a 2-2 and eclipsed Neptunium. Neptunium retaining their title as the draw merchants.
Yeah, Glaciers, 2 draws and 2 sweeps. And then looking at Ignis, Danny, I only see 1 draw and the rest is, well, at least 1 game for one of the teams. Any interesting results there?
Well, as you really has mentioned, I think the Fearless Cypher roster, as you did say, the draw is there. That is the nicety of it. They do stay positive. But I suppose really the big headline there in terms of the big team itself here, it's Feather, who's sitting top of the league table with a double 3-1 result here. That will keep them in good stead here, pushing the likes of the Apprenticeship, who's the only side that's really the closest to them. They've actually only were able to pick up, shall we say, an even week across, of course, 4 games for and against. Other than that, everybody had, shall we say, just traded points among themselves.
Yeah, so a lot of trading points in Ignis and some bigger results in Glaciers. Now let's move to the standings to see if some teams moved up, if some teams stayed the same. And Kingsman, giving it to you.
Still a hell of a fight in the mid-table, all across the table actually. Ryujins and Ember lead the way though, 34 wins apiece for them. Then just behind them is Sentinels. A big 32 keeps them ahead of Eclipse, a 3-game gap separating them from Eclipse in 4th place. However, a big change moving down the table as we see Eclipse, Tornado, Neptunium, Yukubo, Shrine, and Volpez only separated by 1 series. I mentioned in Prospect, I'd tell you if you needed a miracle. None of these teams need a miracle. They need good weeks. 29 wins for Eclipse, 27 for Tornado, 26 for Neptunium, and 25 for Pegasus FC, Shrine, and Volpez. And then Disorder find themselves at a very lonely bottom of the table, but only 3 game wins off of that 6th place. And more importantly, only 6 off of that 4th place.
Let's see if Sir Pegasus and Co. can bounce back, or if he's going to be one of the RSCast members that can't make it into play. And now, Danny, going to you for the Ignis standings.
Well, thank you very much. I'll just remove the suspense for everybody. Pegasus will be definitely casting the entirety of playoffs and play-ins. He won't be making it as a player. For that there, Feather, of course, winning 39, 8 games extended. There is, of course, Apprentices, who is the likely closest one at 31. No shake-up in terms of the mid-tail battle, of course. Mighty Hades, 20 Heart, DSQ, and of course Illusionary, respectively, so with 28 here. The Panthera roster, the likely one slipping out by the likes of goal difference in game forward. That would be the 2 sort of values they've got to be careful of course, with the last 2 weeks. Essentially, win all your games at the sentiment that Kingsman mentioned earlier, and the bottom of the table, Mighty Hades, might as well give up.
They could give up, but in theory, they still have a chance if everyone else throws it away. But that's me being positive, Danny. I'll let you be. Now let's go to the fixtures for week number 8, and then we can see if Orcus can actually bounce back here, or if I'm being too positive. But first, Glacy's conference.
Personally, I thought Tavish was the DSQ owner, but apparently he's now Might of Hades fanboy. But onto that talk next time round. As we look into the fixtures for next week, it's very spread across the week. I mentioned Disorder needing those 3 game wins, and I don't think they're going to get anywhere near that, as they play Ember, who have been on a tear this week, and they play Shrine, who have just picked up their first loss in 5 and have been building momentum to push themselves forward. So I think we could be saying goodbye to them. However, looking at the rest of them, Shrine's other game is against Neptunium. A win or a draw puts them in really good fighting shape here for the top 6. And I'm just going to look at the top of the table. If we go towards Ryujin's and Ember, I mentioned that big fight. Ryujin's play Sentinels in 3rd. It's going to be a big game. Sentinels been ripping up league play recently. 2 weeks, 4 wins. What can they bring against a very strong Ryujin side and Eclipse side who have been finding some run of form recently? And Ember, they have bottom of the table Disorder where they should be picking up a win. And they also have Yukubo, where again, they should be picking up a win again. So a huge chance here for Ember to take top in the conference.
I was already worried you were going to say sorry there. But now, Danny, going to you for the Ignis conference.
Thank you very much, and being the resident Captain Killjoy, I'm going to stomp more on the Mighty Hades fun ride that Tavish was trying to put forward there. They do have, of course, like Capaltry, they're sitting 8th at the table earlier. That may be the likely possible win there. It, of course, might be a dice in a run, but potentially a sweep against Feather against them. That's their second match. That's why I'm very much doubtful that their chances, of course, picking at least 9 games to get themselves in a favorable position with 2 weeks left. Very much a hard case there. But you do look like Legend means Lunacy versus Panthera. That's 7th, of course, versus 3rd there. That will be important there because they do play the likes of the apprenticeships, of course, of Fort Forge. That's there is the 2nd and 3rd battle. And I do hear a few laughters in between there, but DSQ versus Panthera, that's another battle trying to improve in. Those are the highlight games there. It's a lot of who can get in or who's going to get knocked out type matches.
So there you have everything for Challenger. Now going to the next tier, the middle of RSC. It's going to be Rival. Kingsman, let's talk about Glacies.
We shall and Uranum. They picked up 8 draws this season, but they've picked up the wins this week. 4-0 sweep onto Volpez and a 4-0 sweep onto Anarchy. Now you might be thinking those are bottom of the table teams, but every game counts and they've picked up 8 this week, giving them the perfect week. What a week for them. And someone has finally put an end to Sanctum's win streak. It was Nightfall, a draw, but they picked up no win themselves this week, did Nightfall. But a draw is going to be very good, no matter if it's they're playing sub-game or not. The win streak has been ended. However, a few weeks ago, I mentioned Shock were on a tear. Shock have just fallen off, to be honest. No win in the last 5. They were tearing up the league, and now they've fallen back with a 2-2 draw to Mokoteki and a... Oh my god, I can't say it's 2-2 to Volpez. I mentioned about teams needing to get those wins on the teams lower than them in the table. Shock failed to do that, and as the league table will show, they've fallen right back into the pack.
And before we get there, first we're going to you, Danny, for the results in the Ignis Conference.
Well, thank you very much, and I think the fairness to mention this here, the looks of DSQ will be the happier there. They swept Nice 4-0, Ice 4-0 against, of course, Airmen. Those are, in terms of vital ones, especially if you are in that sort, trying to get into the upper bracket to the lower side of it. Tisnock against, of course, they swept as well, but I suppose the big one that you'd be looking at is Mirage, of course, versus Lads of Media's roster. Yes, you're playing bottom of the table, but that 3-1 result just squeaked them into the top 6. We'll, of course, see the league standings very much shortly here.
Yeah, and with all the results from week number 7, we're now going to the standings to see who is still in the top 6 and who has to do a little bit of extra work in the coming week. And Kingsman, giving this one to you.
Yes, Uranium, a double win week, sends them straight to the top of the Glacier standings, 35 wins. However, Sanctum just behind on 35 wins as well, making the most interesting top 3 fights so far. But joining them, 2 wins behind us, going to be Shock, Vanguard, and Mokoteki. Vanguard's going very under the radar here, but 3 wins out of their last 5 will show them only 2 games behind the leaders. Then falling off in 6th is Nightfall on 30 wins. They aren't far behind, but too far behind. Hydras have a small fighting chance at that top 6, and then the bottom 3, I think their seasons are pretty much over. In Volpez, who are 9 wins behind, that is too much. And then if I think that's too much, 12 is definitely too much for Anarchy and Flame, who will have to fight it out for, I think, barely even pride at this point, just not to be the worst team in this conference.
Yeah, Hydras has a chance, Volpus needs a little bit more, but I agree. Anarchy and Flame probably out of the competition. I'm just saying this, but now, Danny, going to you. Let's talk about the Ignis standings.
Oh, let's bring it to the one that will say it straight, shall we say? Might as well. Of course, no surprise, second as Ice, of course, rocking top of the leader table itself here with 38 and 36 here. The likely storylines, of course, is that midfield battle between Mirage, 20R, and of course Fearless and DSQ from 33 down to 29. Now, Panthera, the likely outshots of Uncle, but that is it. I am not as king as the other 2 gentlemen there. Forge, Mighty Hades, and Legend Media, nowhere to be seen here in terms of play-ins.
Yeah, I'll leave this one. Let's go to the fixtures, because I don't want to be a Might of Hades fanboy again. But yeah. Kingsman, Glacier's Conference.
Yes, I mentioned Vanguards have gone under the radar, but they're going to have to come onto the radar and beat some difficult teams this week in Uranium and Shock. A big week to see what Vanguards are really made of. A double win week will surely secure them a top 3 placement this week. They do have the most wins in the most series wins in the Glaciers Conference, and a big week for them will see them secure top 3. Can they keep up with that form? Only time will tell. Looking down the rest of the table, Sanctum and Shock, easy games for them as they play Flame and Anarchy for one of their games accordingly. However, they do have some tough games as well. Throw in Sanctum, who play Mokoteki, who have been finding 3 draws in their last 3, which isn't exactly the form you want if you're going to be pushing towards that top 3. And Shock's other game, obviously, as mentioned, against Vanguards. So, big week for them, but I'm more interested to see how this chasing pack finishes, especially with Uranium having an easy game and a tough game.
Yeah, and if we're going to the man himself, but he would probably say nothing's going to change. So let's talk about Ignis, Danny. Will anything change with these matchups?
Not really, to be brutally honest with you, but that's up to the teams themselves here. The only team really the worthwhile to look for is when there's Onk there. They play robbing themselves here, and then followed by Aish, who is sitting second with 36 wins earlier. That's their must-win game there. Aish, you could probably afford a draw there. In terms of the race that may be vitally important, whether it's uppers or lowers, it's Mirage versus DSQ's roster, and again, 20R versus Mirage. Those are the 4 highlight matches there for Rival to keep an eye on in terms of Ignis.
And let's see if we're gonna get any of those matchups on stream that we can see what's going to happen. But that is Rival. Now we're going to the next tier. We're going to the tier where all the egos are at, what we always experience. And
What?
Kingsman. We'll get to you in a little bit, Danny, don't worry. Kingsman, what happened in Elite in Week 7?
Honestly, Tavish, props to you. You couldn't have described the tier better. Full of ego. But this week, no one gets an ego as no team finds themselves going double win. However, to pick out some notable results, Cyclone swept Darkness. All I'm saying is Darkness need to hold their heads in shame. A team that had won one series all series long and were on 14 game wins have just swept a team that were pushing for first place in that conference. Embarrassing, lads. I would be ashamed. However, if we look at other
you know the
weeks,
story?
enough. Oh, go on, Danny. You know what? Tell me the story.
Keep it short.
It's short with me is what you're going to get. Darkness didn't even bother playing.
Oh, brilliant! Even more embarrassing.
Boring story.
For a team pushing first place, that is disgraceful. I'm sure
No!
Mutz has had very bad words.
No, respect to them. Deathcloud wasn't worthwhile showing up.
Agreed. Awful behaviour. If I was the GM, there would be there'd be riots, I'm telling you. However, if we look down the rest of the conference, Shinjuru were on the sweep and got swept and sweep this week. They swept Saturnia, but when they actually play against decent opponents, they got swept themselves in Leviathans. Big 4-0 week for them. However, they then found a loss to Severance, a team that, well, from what my Rocket Sundays teammate has told me, they haven't lost a series while Moggy's been on that roster. So all I'm going to say is Moggy. Well, I've been told by Moggy.
Oh, he's wrong because he got beat this week and he's sitting in this VC right now with you.
What?
He got beat.
Oh, we're stepping over to the other man in our VC. Let's talk about Ignis.
What the hell?
I'm sorry, there he says Moggy got beat in the series in the cup by myself, James, and a rival player.
Oh yeah, embarrassing. Yeah, no, he told me about that. I flamed him for it. Don't worry, Danny. I flamed him as appropriate.
He got beat by a retired player. Come on.
Yeah, I flamed him as he should have been. Awful behaviour that was.
I know the tier with the most egos, and I've cut in about 6 times. You're rightly appointed to say that one out. Might as well talk about Ignis while I'm just sitting and breaking the record at this point here. Not much in terms of surprise here. Thanos not in terms of knocking the ones. Bladesmith did have a decent week until the player deception here, and frankly they've been not playing their cup games as much. I know so, because that was the game against Smoggy, and frankly, I believe the Fish himself would be happy with the terms of that attack with the only double 4-0 to be worthwhile mentioning there.
Wow. A double 4-0. 8-0. Good job to Azteca. Now let's go to the standings. Let's see how everything changed or nothing, because some of the results were predictable, or as Kingsman said, some teams should be really ashamed. So now, Kingsman, what changed in Glacies?
Well, Temple took the lead of a very, very interesting Glacies conference, I'm just going to say. 37 wins, the only team that have decided to stay consistently winning this season. However, Leviathan's picking up two losses in the last 2 weeks. They also did pick up 2 wins, but we'll ignore that part. Sees them on 34th, 3 games behind. I'm not even going to mention the side that haven't won in 5 and have almost dropped behind Blaze and Severance. But it's Blaze on 32, as they are chasing that top 3 spot, along with Severance, who haven't lost in their last 5 league games. Sorry, just got to specify before Danny throws a temper tantrum again. And then Shinjuru making top 6 at the minute. Danny's coaching work clearly doing something for them this season. However, I don't think they're going to make top 3. Centurions double draw sees them just behind. Saturnia 2 wins in 2 weeks, finally finding some form, and there's still time to do it. However, although Cyclone have been gifted the nicest 4-0 they'll have all season, Cyclone and Volpez, I think it might be time to pack the bags and just finish the season off on the beach.
Well, they should have, the way some of them have been acting.
Oh.
Yeah, and you two took the words out of my mouth. Indeed, Cyclone and Volpez season probably over at this point. And again, Mel not being too happy with 4 Templar because they're out of the top 6. Disappointing. Now, Danny, let's be honest about the Ignis conference.
Yeah, might as well there. And just to finish off about the line of the coaching, you should have heard after the Alpha Surge 4-0 loss what was being said there. Oh, trust me. It was more than a tantrum, but we'll be throwing a few dummies into this one. And certainly in terms of Ignis here, the Osaka roster 36 alongside Lentimina. It's been a bit of a battle all season with them respectively. So TSQ's been doing quite well. They had a bit of a surgency of late here with that roster. Of course, I would sit here and say that Illusionary themselves at 33 has dropped a little bit off sorts. Recent transfer early in around week 5 and 6 certainly made the difference in terms of stability. Then you have the Giant Cliff. 20 are holding on. Bladesmith still there and thereabouts alongside Mighty Hades. Of course, Tavish will be celebrating that one privately, but Panthera and Fearless will be alongside the beach earlier.
So 4 teams on the beach already just waiting. Now let's go to the fixtures to see if Bladesmith and Thanatos in the Ignis Conference can bounce back. I'm saying can, Danny. We'll get to you in a little bit. First, Kingsman, any matchups in Glacies that can shift the table? Or will shift the table?
Yeah, considering Darkness are giving out 3 4-0 wins now, I said Saturnia have a chance to push towards the top 6. They have a game against Darkness, who haven't found a win in 3, and have clearly already gone on the beach, thinking their top 3 place was secure. They also play Blaze, who will be hungry for that win with 1 loss in the last 2 weeks, and on the rioting form at the moment. They will have a big chance here to push forward. However, Blaze's week doesn't get any easier as they play Severance as well. 2 high flyers in the league meet. Will it be a draw? I surely hope not, because I will not hear the end of it if it is. Anyway, looking around the rest of the table, I said Cyclone might as well put their feet up, but if they could do me a favour this week and take some games off tempo, make it interesting going into the final week, I would be very, very happy. So if you're on the Cyclone side, please do not go on the beach yet. Just wait 1 more week, even though you probably can't make playoffs. Please do wait a week, and I've just seen it in chat. RSCast to say thank you for the raid.
Okay, Danny, any matchups where I can say can shift the table?
Would you like the word no coming out of that?
Depends.
Well, who's asking?
The egos of Elite.
Oh yes, the fellow elites. Go home. Anyways, there is actually worthwhile stuff to talk about here, which makes a change. Scorch versus, of course, the Osaka roster. That there is a battle, of course, within the top 6 itself there. A lot of distance could be closed down there. Blaze versus Thanos to get into. Carbo versus, of course, Raven. That's again an in-house battle. Deception versus Adteka. Again, to get into the top side of the bracket. Scorch versus, of course, Legend Maniacs roster, Insanity. And Bladesmith versus Carbo. The somewhat slight outsiders, if you want to call it that. So there's about 6 matches worthwhile to talk about there.
Still some matchups here in Elite that might be worth talking about. We'll see it next week on our RSCast if they actually were. Now, going to the highest tier since we removed Premier, it's going to be Master, where Kingsman is playing, and, well, we'll see if he actually did well this week or not. But first, we're going to hear from himself what happened in Glacies.
Well, Inferno decided it's time to turn up the heat. And that's what they did. 8-0 week, sweeping Iovi and sweeping Haven. Big 2 wins for them in that what was a very close top 3 that is slightly separating now, with Wyverns being held at a 2-2 draw against Dominion and only picking up a win. Both of those sides going 5 and 3 respectively. So a bit of a drop in form for them. However, Team Serene saw that form pick up for them as they got a forfeit win over Haven as well, who were unable to pick a roster in time. So a bit of a not pat on the back, a slap on the wrist for the GM and AGM there, as it sees them go 0-8 this week, and as I'll show you, puts them out of any chance of a playoff spot. However, looking at down the rest of the table, Tempest and Volpez will both hold on to a win-draw week as well, so it's going to get very interesting for those remaining spots.
Yeah, 0-8 week is not good. Inferno going 4-4 over two bottom teams also, well, kind of expected. And Dominion, we expected better. But, Danny, let's talk about the Ignis Conference.
I thought that we were heading that direction. There has been quite a few 4-0s, but in terms of not necessarily surprised, we look at Leo and, of course, Militation themselves. They're not necessarily surprised. 3rd and 10th, how things ended up there. As Taggart versus Forge, again, no surprise in order for Green Phoenix's Affinity Illusionary 20R. Again, Hades on the receiving end of it, so quite a few of it. It's actually the 3-1s there that actually have done the damage in terms of the league table itself, which we'll get on to in a moment.
All right. Nice, short, and powerful. Let's go to the standings. Let's see what changed. And Kingsman, what happened in Glacies?
Inferno secure themselves a top 3 spot, 10 wins above 4th place, but I'd say that top 3 is pretty much locked in unless there is a huge throw from any of those top 3. I think Inferno will win the conference, but that will be decided pretty much from a game tonight, which we'll come on to in the fixtures. Wyverns then sit 2 behind, and a series behind them is Dominion, who have slightly fallen off. And I won't lie, we have fallen off slightly. We can't sweep. It's so over for us. However, looking down the table, Volpez of another series behind, but they're slowly making the charge up towards Dominion, maybe looking to nick that final spot. Tempest, though, with a good season recovery. They were held to a draw win this week, but they've got 3 wins out of the last 4 and are really finding some form towards the end of the season. Abyss then hold on to that final playoff place, but very close between them and Sovereigns and Shokan as well. 25, 25, and 24. All of those sides are going to be pushing in these final weeks. And now we look at the rest of the 2 who are pretty much out of it in Iovi and Haven.
Yeah. Danny, any thoughts on this, or shall we just go to the Ignis Conference?
No, it's just nice to hear Kingsman sweeping. Pigsman is too busy being swept with flu at the moment that he can't even bother showing up, so... Fair enough. Anyways, we might as well go to the league table for Ignis itself here, of course. Voltas Mania there, 41-37, in likely terms of the top 2. Would say locked in at this point here, especially for the Forge of Leo with a massive win. Mentioned earlier, that there has done them a world of good. Hades there for 4-0 loss earlier in the week, really done the damage against Affinity though earlier, just to get 3 games on the win. Keeps him the nose in front, of course, Illusionary, not slightly behind him. Infinity at 26. 20R, however, is the other outside body there, and there's Attacker and Fearless, who I don't even know if they actually played any games. That's how low down there at the table they are.
Yeah, so biggest takeaway here is Vulcan and Mania are doing really well here in Master. Now, let's go to the fixtures. If there are some good matchups. And Kingsman. No. Oh. Alright, so that's the recap of Master. We're going to franchise standings right now, unless Kingsman has something.
I do, actually. I talked about Inferno winning the conference. Beat Wyverns, and it's theirs. Wyverns versus Inferno, the game to look out for tonight. And, well, the winner of that, I'd say, is in the driving seat to take it all here. However, Wyverns with a doubleheader tonight. They play Tempest, who've been on a tear. A poor week for Wyverns could see them fall into the clutches of Dominion. However, looking down the rest of the table, Volpez, as I mentioned, needing to push on, have Inferno as well, and Shokan, who need wins to push on here. So a big week for them. And looking as well more towards mid-table, Abyss have a very nice week for them to be able to get some wins on the board in Iovi and Haven. A good week for them will see them propel and secure themselves that 6th place spot. And for them, they will be hoping that they can do that.
And with these matchups, I'm mostly looking at you now, Mel, since you're management. I want to have a good result tomorrow in the Sovereign's Dominion match, and otherwise I'm going to look at, the franchise I'm playing for the day afterwards. I want to see some nice results next week on the board. But, Danny, any matchups in Ignis?
I think you might need to keep dreaming if you want Mal to get you a win there, but frankly, we'll be looking
I
at the
know.
likes of 20R Nox. That at least would be a worthwhile matchup there, especially in terms of 20R, the outside shot there. They do play, of course, Azteca, who is basically near at the foot of the table there. So if they can pick a 6-2 week, they're in terms of a chance there for at least the 6th spot there. Infinity Media, they're playing there. Nox, they're playing against literally the foot. And that's against 20-26. Should be a 3-1-4-0 likelihood there. Vulcans Illusionary themselves there has a chance to maybe be interesting for the upper side of the bracket. Bar that, Media has a matchup against Hades that will decide you're probably your top 3 coming in, of course, week 8 itself.
Alright, and that is the end of all the separate tiers. Now we're going to take a quick look at the franchise standings. Let's see where all the franchises are at. And Kingsman giving you the bottom half.
Tavish is in tears as he sees his favourite side, bottom of the franchise standings. It's Might of Hades, 119, tied with 20R in the battle of what is going to be, I can't call it interesting, battle of the mid, let's just say, for bottom of the table. Then it's Volpez on 124, just 5 games above that. A good recovery from them as they were very far behind at the start of the season. Fearless, a big drop from them, sees them in 17th place, along with Panthera and Deathcloud Esports, who've been on the rise in 15th. Fort Templar, 14th, talking about big drops. Symbiotes making their way. Master can't carry you all season long, guys. Just saying. Team Serene, though, move up ahead, which the Pegasus will, I'm sure, be smiling ear to ear at that his franchise are ahead of mine and Mal's. And then to top off your bottom 10, it's Systema Solaris, who are 11th on 138 wins.
Yeah, so Mel with Kent top of the fort is struggling in EU and in SSA, by the way. Kingsman, you're the anchor of Symbiotes, and Team Serene for Pegasus doing a little bit of work. Now let's go to the top half, where I can be happy with 2 franchises, but Danny's gonna do the words.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to say you're welcome, Pig, for me getting your franchise actually some wins, unlike you. But anyways, Azteca sitting on 10th here with 140 there. Illusionary just with 6 in front of them. Sanctuary tied, of course. Shadow with that drop in elite there. Of course, I'm only mentioning it since we've got Eagles, apparently. I think it's 100% right. But then you have Legend Media just slightly further ahead. Then your top 5 becomes interesting. Forge and Brave at 151 there. Alpha Surge at 152. And Mr. DSQ, he has the podcast that Pegasus also hosts. Hasn't done anything in recent time, but he wants to be plugged anyway. Sitting in second, of course, that's DSQ Esports. And Green Phoenix, a franchise that I once played for, but suddenly got better after I left. They're sitting top of the table.
Yeah, that last statement doesn't really surprise me. You left and they got better, so... But yeah, those are the franchise standings.
I actually got them a positive record, so it wasn't my fault. The rest of them were rubbish. Just saying.
Alright, so Sir Dedisus is doing what elite players do, and that's boosting their own ego. So, good job. Now...
Sorry. Tavish, I don't need to boost my ego. I've got a Wikipedia page, so most of the others don't.
Hey!
Wow, you boosted about the page, and I also have. Whoa!
No Wikipedia.
I've got
page,
also have one.
guys. No,
I've got a green title.
Okay, fair enough. I don't have that. Now let's go to clip of the week. Mel, just run the tape. So, Kingsman, any first thoughts?
Absolutely no bias here at all. I'm telling you, absolutely none. Snow by an absolute landslide. I have not seen that sort of pinch performed by any player in a while, to be honest. So, full props to him. It was a sensational goal, and I'm sure no other elite player can be doing that. Apart from maybe Mr. Green title, Mr. Wikipedia page on the other side.
Have you looked at my Twitter page of any teams?
No,
It's been
not
pinches
really.
all the time. No. Fair enough. That's a
Well,
shame,
isn't it
isn't it?
just the Team Serene guys carrying you and you doing something and hoping that it works?
No, I don't often play with the Serene boys because they're not good enough. They can barely make
Wow.
plans.
Right. Well,
Hold on. Stop 1 second. Stop 1 second. Mal, get the league table back up, please. Come on. Get it back up.
Yes. Oh, so in
Or
the
even the
meantime,
fact that the result page.
while Mal's doing that, Quabby and Harvey have tied the clip
that was-
for the winners for
that-
clip of the week. So I mean, I would honestly
Alright.
I'd give it to Quabby personally, as Harvey's shot was on a Team Stream team. So let's be honest, that doesn't really count, does it?
Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna let Sir Denis's, since he votes for 2 at this point, give the final vote, because, well, I just don't want to do it. Who do you think is gonna deserves to win? Quabby or Harvey?
I'm going to go with my teammate for the final of last season's cup, and that's going to be Harvey.
Well, congratulations, Harvey! You won Clip of the Week, thanks to Sir Denis's. Well, Danny and Pegasus both kind of voted for you at this point, so congratulations. We're not gonna roll the tape again, because, you know, time. But we're gonna go to Fail of the Week if we have one. And I'm hoping that it either cuts on screen, because then I know, or we're just gonna see Danny looking a little bit red.
Away from.
I'm
Look
going
100.
left.
Yeah, that.
No, I'm mate, my controller is doing my tits in.
Face that like
Look
going
100.
left.
Yeah, that.
No, I'm mate, my controller
He
is
was
doing
just
my
like,
tits in.
I don't
Away
know.
from.
Oh.
Look 100.
Okay, so, well, Buddha basically already said everything, but Danny, Kingsman, any thoughts on this Phil?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys heard audio in that or not, but I'm pretty sure remembering watching this beforehand, he blames it on his controller. And all I'm going to say is Buddha's reaction sums up basically everything you need to see. First thing, blames his controller. You do not blame your tools. That's all I'm saying. And second thing, oh dear. That's the side top of their challenger tier at the minute as well. So making mistakes like that, come on. How is the rest of the challenger tier, the Glacies, not beating those guys?
I'm saying nothing. It's not worth my time. Sorry.
Weekly Awards! So, we had a Clip of the Week, we had a Fail of the Week. Let's go to the Weekly Awards. Let's boost some more egos here. Let's see how it went. Kingsman, Prospect.
I'm not boosting any egos here, but Merritt is your MVP, 532 points per game. C, you saw him on Clip of the Week, but he's not going to get in the vote. 1.75 goals per game, tied with Jim Jams and Merritt. Jim Jams, though, does pick up the striker, 63% shooting. Veiled is your playmaker, 1.5. And everyone's, I won't say favourite admin, but Andre is on there. He got 2.38 saves per game, and he picks up your saviour for this week.
Alright, so there we have Prospect. Now, Danny, going to you for Challenger.
Oh, ideally none of them there, but Manchak's there at least takes up the MVP there. We do see Tom and Senko respectively second and third, and it seems to be a double header here for the finisher himself there. Do you know what? Fair play to the lad here. Do you know what? He's picking up more awards as he's being showed up. Did 20 hour happen to an in a week here? I can't necessarily remember nor care enough to do so. But Phoenix anyway, and we've seen the field for the week man himself there, Buddha's saviour at the bottom end of your right hand screen there. So do you know what there? Fair play to all the lads there for getting the accolades. Tavish has died there, so I think we might be moving
Earth
on
to
here to
Tavish.
rival.
No, I was just waiting for Mel to continue.
No.
Yeah, so Tavish is retired. Now Tavish does, in fact, not do anything on the RSC cast. He just sits and waits for Mal. But
As
MVP
always.
in Rival is going to be Matrix, not even getting 500 points per game. That's poor from the Rival tier. And Fishy is going to be your finisher, 2 goals per game. They are bottom of the table, though. So what are his teammates doing? That's what I'm worried about. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, but he got 87.5% shooting, and he's your striker. Molv picks up the playmaker. We now will know who's been setting Matrix up to get points all week. And Nikolaj on the Might of Hades roster. Tavish is celebrating as they pick up the Savior with 3 saves per game.
Yeah, you guys can't see this, but Mel can, and he knows he sees me celebrating, so that's the verification that's needed. Now, Danny, Elite, your favorite tier.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah. Conflict, of course, grabs your MVP with over a 560 plus game. Of course, that was probably a 4-0 against Team Serene. Yep, well done, lads. As again, finisher again goes to Conflict for 2 goals per game. They're moving, of course, to Snow himself, Shadow, with an 80% record. Ella Kitten, who has done well here, was, I think, originally meant to be the sub, has moved to main player, getting 1.38 per game. Savior, however, once more, Conflict, 2.75 there. Well, I do just want to mention there, Shad's been doing a decent enough job. Jolt is always there. And Quackers, being a stifly little assassin there, sneaking up there with the 2nd place there in Saviors.
All I'm saying is Conflict must have only played 1 series. I've never seen him get above 200 points, let alone above 500. Honestly, he's putting some sort of shift there, and I want to know what it is. However, someone who I can verify has played all game. Oh, go on, Danny.
I'm just going to say is when you play against Team Serene, it's like, a piggy bank. It always gives out.
I see.
3 points
Yeah,
all
and
right.
they must find that in every tier. But someone who can verify played every game this week is NC. He's your MVP and your finisher this week. And last time we did this, he was on the team of the week. So is he going back to back? Miller, though, is your striker with 75%, and Bockett picking up the playmaker. Really questioning what does Dash actually add to this Inferno roster. However, your savior not going to be on Brave. He's going to be on Green Phoenix. Meet Ibby with 3.25 at saves per game.
So do you think Ibby also only played 1 series here? Or is he just that good in defense?
Yeah, he's sub.
Wow. Well, still, 325, not bad. Now, Danny, you get the honor of doing Team of the Week.
Oh, nobody deserves Team of the Week, but here we go anyways.
So positive.
Well, yeah, I'm so positive as well. Andrix from Fours, I believe that's Squishy from Fort Templar, Passam, of course, the Solaris, Fish, who's actually a decent player there, doesn't get enough respect, and of course, Stream, who was in the VC at the Cup draw last night. They're talking a big game there. He's picked up the accolade there for the Masters, and there are your 5 special little players for Week 7.
So there we have everything done and dusted, unless we have the fancy league at this point, but I still don't think we actually talk about that. So.
Oh no, what a shame. I guess we don't have it. Oh no, I guess we're going to have to move on. Oh no, what a shame. Oh. Wait, here it is, Danny! Danny, yes! Go on, Danny. Talk us through it.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much there, of course. I've been looking forward to this for the entirety of this one here. We do see, of course, Temple rocking up nicely at the top of the league table. Then you have Alpha Serbia Conflict. You got 3 accolades there. Darkness was hopeless. Blaze was hopeless. I actually did all right. Severance there. But I heard Team Serene's elite team was so diabolically shocking. They got a very angry pensioner shouting at them after losing 4-0 to Conflict. Don't done the other one. My words! Thank you very much, Mel. It was a shocking performance, and they should sack the coach and players.
Okay, so any final thoughts? I'll let Danny first take a little bit of a breather. Kingsman, you can go first.
Final thoughts. 2 weeks, make or break, essentially. If you've played the easy teams already, then go beat the hard teams. Go Go make it interesting. I don't want to see all top 3s and top 6s secured. I want to see some fights down to the wire. Especially you, Cyclone. I'm looking at you. You have 2 tough games this week. You might be on the beach mentally, but physically, you need to be winning those games. Please make it interesting. Don't let first place be a runaway in every single conference. And also, I can't let Buddha have the ego that he's got first place in league play. So please, can we have that sorted out immediately? Thank you.
Danny, anything to add?
No, it's not
That's-
worthwhile. No.
I wanted to add without roasting only one tier that you play in.
Oh, prospects not worthwhile tuning in. Why do we have, of course, then Challenger, Rival, and Masters? Bring
So,
back Premier.
I was hoping you were going to end with that.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
Couldn't have said better.
any of the admins or owners of RSC, well, looking here at RSCast, well, here you have to vote, so come on, bring Premier back, we need it. But yeah, from Sir Denis's, the MOH fanboy, and too many crowns to count, I'm not even gonna bother that much. We're ending RSCast a little bit earlier.
There's only 9 of them.
Too much effort.
Tavish can't do 1 through 5. Come on, let alone 9.
Well,
only
he
the
can't
one-
even do. No, he can't even do 1. He stops and lets us to do all the work.
No. I can do 1 through 3 because that's the only place where my team ends. In 1, 2, or 3.
No,
I don't
no,
go.
no,
I don't go that low.
No. You've got it wrong. It has a 2 in it. You're just forgetting a digit on the right side of it.
It's normally a 0 for DSQ. If we want to look in previous seasons, it's normally 2 and then a 0. This is just obviously a lucky season, I think, personally.
You know I'm playing for Sanctuary, right? I'm not DSQ this season.
Joe,
Okay.
if Tavisha was still running DSQ, they would somehow finish 21st. That's how bad it normally goes for him.
Yeah, agreed.
It's all right. Pegasus is back next week, so I won't be here for Tavish's roasting.
I'll
So
still be here
if
for
I'm
it,
not
though.
here, if I'm not here next week, I'm emotionally broken, and Danny will take my spot forever. But yeah, like the entire.
Excuse me, Tavish. I'm gone after this season. It's bye-bye.
Yeah, you say that multiple times. You've retired 6 times. You returned every time, so don't worry. You'll be back, like always. But before you say anything, like the entire message here below says, stick around for a series starting in 7 minutes. Mel, we know typing is difficult. But yeah, this is the end of RSCast week number 7. Thank you to the sponsors, and I want to say see you next week, but you'll see us live again in 7 minutes with then different people, different series. But for now, have a great evening. So, it's not good evening. It's first and foremost very important. Thank you to our sponsors, Badass Brave, Systema, Solaris, Pinchmen, and Team Serene. And don't forget, we have a LAN event this Saturday. Make sure to go there. I'm not there. Danny's not there. I think Kingsman will be there. But
I will be there. I will be there.
yeah, see. So you want to see your least favorite RSCast member? Then go there. Danny and I might join for, I don't know, one in the future. But for now, enjoy the series. We'll see you next week.